everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimale here in Abuja. We begin in Abeokuta, where it does look like some kind of reunion. But how real is that reunion? Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar visited his former Principal President Olusegun Obasanjo in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Atiku, who arrived at Obasanjo's Abeokuta residence located within the precincts of the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library at about 12:37 p.m. today. He was accompanied by former governors of Cross River State and Sokoto, Senator Moke and Aminu Tambua. Other political stalwarts from northern region also were there, and upon arrival, Atiku and members of his entourage were received at the residence by the elder statesman Otumbo Yewole Fashewe before they all went straight into the private meeting with the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who had been waiting for them.
Your Excellency, sir.
Just courtesy visit.
Okay. A lot of people believe that you and Peter Obi have been having meeting for so long.
It's a courtesy visit, please.
Is this related to
I'm not going to talk about politics, please. All right. Thank you.
Is this connected to
let's go.
Thank you very much.
It's okay. So let's go. Make a way.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's okay. Sorry.
All right, so the question is, how real is the reunion, and was the very fundamental of the visit? It was a private session they had, and the stalwarts, the political heavyweights who visited the former president would not speak at some of the details of their meeting with the former president Olusegun Obasanjo. Tonight, we're going to be having some very deep conversations, and my guest also is someone whom you always want to listen to on this program. Before we get talking, let's check out some of the political roundup stories.
Justice Binta Inyako of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has adjourned the trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, indefinitely. Justice Inyako adjourned the suit following Kanu's insistence that the judge cannot preside over his case since she had recused herself. At the resumed session, the prosecution counsel, Mr. Adegboyega Awomolo, told the court that the prosecution was ready to proceed with the trial. Lead counsel to Kanu, Mr. Aloy Ejimako, insisted that was not the issue before the court. And the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has adjourned proceedings to Wednesday, February 12 for the All Progressives Congress to open its defense after Governor Monday Okpebolo closed his defense. At the opening of the defense, the lead counsel to Governor Monday Okpebolo, Mr. Onyechi Bazu SAN, called his first and only witness, one Mr. Usman Majek, who served as an agent to the All Progressives Congress in the Edo governorship election. On the cross-examination on the activities at his polling unit on the day of the election, the witness told the court that accreditation and voting took place simultaneously. Cross River State Governor Mr. Basi Otu has signed a local government amendment bill which will facilitate lots of positive changes to the third tier of government. At the ceremony held at the Government House, Governor Otu explained that the bill will fast-track economic development and growth, encourage broader and greater participation, as well as enhance effective and efficient service delivery at the local government level.
I want to assure that our local government chairman and women will deliver. What we're looking at now is for them to finish their retreat and get proper orientation. The moment they do that, finish with that, they move into the field.
The Agbo Major Group of the New Nigeria People's Party has asked the members of the Kwankwasia group to peacefully exit the party and stop causing more distractions. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the chairman of the group, Mr. Agbo Major, told journalists that it had expelled the 2023 presidential candidate, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, Buba Galadima, and the entire Kwankwasia faction from the party. Mr. Agbo says the party under his leadership remain united as it prepares for the 2027 general elections. And the Pan-Niger Delta Forum Andef is asking President Tinubu to sign the South-South Development Commission bill into law to create a balance across the 6 regions of the country. At a news conference in Abuja, the national spokesperson of the group, Mr. Olorogun Ominimini, said the assent to the South-South Development Commission bill will promote broader regional development in the area and complements the work of the Niger Delta Development Commission, noting that withholding the assent of the bill is capable of creating a feeling of exclusion and dejection on the part of the people of the South-South.
That's it. You've been served with your political roundup story. So let's get to a major story today. When it came out from the courts today, a lot of people have been debating the outcome and implication of the decision or what the court said. So a 5-man panel of the Supreme Court led by Justice Uwani Aba-Aji has dismissed the appeal filed by the governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, challenging the leadership of the Rivers State House of Assembly led by Martin Amawule. Justice Uwani Aba-Aji, while dismissing the appeal, awarded a cost of 2 million naira against the governor payable to the Rivers State House of Assembly as the first respondent and Martin Amawule as the second respondent. But the dismissal was not only independent as such, it was also a reason from which stemmed from the appeal by Mr. Fubara and was hinged on the withdrawal of the suit by his counsel, Mr. Yusuf Ali.
Namewula is the leader, that is the Speaker of the House of Assembly. So that is the position today. And I must add that the Court of Appeal had admonished and clearly stated that the House, purportedly being led by a 3-man panel, is not the House, Rivers State House of Assembly.
Today, all the appeals have been taken and judgment reserved in respect of the appeals. You know, we won at the Court of Appeal, and the other side came on appeal to the Supreme Court. Luckily, today, the 6 appeals were heard, and judgment has been reserved. So we'll await the day of judgment.
But there are reactions from the state government, and part of that reaction is to the extent that it was a withdrawal made by the lawyers to Governor Fubara, who felt that the matter somewhat has become an academic case in the withdrawal and in that suit of appeal pursuant to Order 11 Rules 14 of the Supreme Court Rules 2024 and under the inherent jurisdiction of the Honorable Court, that the appellant hearing intends and only withdraws his appeal against all the respondents in this appeal, and the appeal has been overtaken by event. That was transmitted to the court on the 6th of February 2025, and of course signed by the lead counsel, Yusuf Ali, SAN. Let's get some insight from someone who is in the know. Is a legal practitioner, senior advocate of Nigeria, right activist, Mr. Falana. He's live for us tonight on the program. It's a pleasure having you tonight on the program, Mr. Falana.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So there was some kind of confusion when the word dismissed was used. It was as though there was a winner and there was a loser in that matter. Would a dismissal of the suit be the perfect or the right word to represent what happened today in court?
Well, what happens in court? Again, I was in court today. When an appeal is dismissed, not on merit, but on the basis of a withdrawal by the appellant, the question of celebration doesn't arise. What happened in this case is that the governor of Rivers State instructed his lawyers to withdraw the appeal on the ground that it had become an academic exercise. In other words, the issues are no longer alive. And therefore, why do you want to waste the time of the court? It wasn't contrary to what a colleague was saying. The court did not determine who is a speaker or who is not a speaker. No, it didn't come up.
It wasn't before it.
No, no. What was decided at the lower court, at the High Court, Federal High Court, that led to the appeal had to do with the 2024 budget, the passage of the budget, 2024 budget.
Which has now been expanded with.
And this governor said, we have spent the money. We are now dealing with 2025 budget, which has been passed into law. So that's what happened today.
So why litigate on it when
why was the time of
so
the court?
that was the basis.
That was what happened today.
So your colleague that spoke on behalf of the Amaule led House of Assembly misinterpreted the matter.
No, completely. No, I don't think he was interpreting the judgment. I mean, what happened today? And the basis of dismissal is this. Once you have joined issues, once the parties have filed their briefs, right, and you are now withdrawing, it will be dismissed, not struck out, so that you don't come back. That's all. The dismissal was not anchored on the merit of the appeal. No.
Why the fine, though? Because the court fined the appellant.
What the court is saying is that Mr. J.B. Daudu, SAN, applied, told the court that we have 5 briefs. Please, award costs in our favor. That was what happened today. It's not because we have won. But since they are now withdrawing the appeal, and we have already filed our papers, kindly compensate us
for the work done.
For the work done. That's all. That's what happened today.
So wasn't it punitive or disciplinary fine?
No.
On the appellant?
No. It was that, the lawyers have...
It was a word of some kind of damages or that may have been expended by the time of the lawyers or the counsel in the matter.
That's all. So what my learned friend was saying, I was like, the speaker, the position of the speaker is now clear or whatever. Which speaker? The one that has left the house?
Has he left?
No. Once you decamp, automatically you lose your seat. The only case on that today is pending in the Port Harcourt Judicial Division of the Federal High Court. The case is adjourned to Monday, the 17th of February. Could the for the 27th to come and justify why they should continue to parade themselves as legislators, haven't decamped, haven't jumped, to the other.
Could the case of Abegunde versus the Ondo State House of Assembly make a very good precedent of court in this matter?
Sure. Thank you. That is the locus classicus today. That is the law guiding defection. And the Supreme Court made it clear in that case. Once you defect, when your party has not broken down the line, you can, because there's no fractionalization. At the time they claimed they were decamping. So once you do that, you lose your seat automatically. That was the basis of the decision in Abegunde and Labour Party.
Labour Party.
That's the law in Nigeria.
And the position of the law today, Mr. Falana, if you might also expatiate, is the crisis has to be at the local chapter, isn't it?
No. If the crisis is at the local chapter, it has nothing to do with the law. If you are saying that, the PDP now has 2 chairmen, 2 national secretaries, and officers, parallel officers at the national level, down the line, yes, you can say, our party has been factionalized, I can now move. But that is not the case with the PDP. So if you move, you do it at your own peril. And that is what has happened.
But there are those who also argue, how morally justified would a governor present a budget before 3 members of the House of Assembly?
Again, this is the issue. If there are only 3 legitimate members, right, the governor can present the budget.
But the law talks about quorum.
No, the quorum you are talking about in River is when there were 32 members. That was when Justice Omotosho gave his judgment. Now today, out of the 4 on the side of the governor, 1 became the chief of staff. You have 3 left. The others have lost their seat. So there are 3 members today in that House of Assembly. And it's not the first time. In 2016, Governor Wike, Nyesom Wike, presented his budget before 7 members. It was only in Plateau State that the Supreme Court warned, and that is the law. 14 members they come, right? In the House of Assembly, I think there were 26 of them. Now, 10 impeached the governor. 8 voted for the impeachment of the governor after the remaining. And the Supreme Court said no. If you are going to impeach the governor, having been elected by the entire state, if there are vacancies, those seats that are declared vacant will have to be filled so that 2/3 majority of the entire members will remove the governor. So you cannot do it. So 3 members can carry out the legitimate function, and the Supreme Court made it clear. The only thing that the 8 members could not do is to impeach the governor, but they can carry on the duties of the House. And I'm saying in reverse, a governor once presented a budget of 7 members out of 32. In this case, right, 27 have decamped. They have decamped. Nowhere, because the speaker, pro tempore speaker, declared their seat vacant. They haven't challenged it. The case that is coming up on Monday was filed by the remaining 3 members. Thou cannot go around parading yourself as legislators having the come. That's what it's going on.
Let me allow you, Mr. Falana, and our viewers to listen to Mr. Martin Amewule. He's been reacting to the position of the court today after that ruling. Take a listen to him.
The 10th River State House of Assembly is happy with this development. Rivers people are elated that the Supreme Court has indeed spoken. Recall that at different fora, the governor has insisted that he was not going to obey any judgment, be it in the Federal High Court, the Court of Appeal, or any court at all. Today, the Supreme Court has spoken. We'll wait and see. It's on record, and the judgment of the Supreme Court today has affirmed that for 1 whole year, the governor of Rivers State spent taxpayers' money without an appropriation law. 1st January to 31st day of December 2024, the governor of Rivers State spent Rivers people's funds, both internally generated revenue and the federal allocation, from his front pockets, as if the money belongs to his family.
You heard what Mr. Amewule said. And he's made it clear. He said, look, the governor is involving illegality as far as they are concerned, those 27 members.
You see, these cases have gone to court. And I'm saying, as of today, the 27 members, in the eye of the law, are no longer legislators. Haven't become.
At the moment, where they said they were no longer members of the PDP.
No, they went to the Federal High Court in Abuja here and swore to an affidavit that we are no longer in the PDP. Please, INEC. And they got an ex parte injunction, ex parte order. Please, don't fill our seats here. INEC. And the court said, okay, for this very serious order you are asking for, you will pay damages. I think 5 million naira or so, which they haven't paid. But as soon as they now knew that the affidavit had become public knowledge, they then secretly withdrew the case. But that affidavit stands forever. It's a record of the court that we are no longer in the House. We are no longer members of the PDP. We have now decamped to APC. But please, INEC, in the interim, my lord, don't allow INEC to fill our vacancy.
Affidavit is an establishment and affirmation of a fact.
Of course. Of course. You swear.
You swear to it.
Yes.
Which will make it legally binding.
Of course, you are bound. And that has not been removed from the record of the court, where they on their own have sworn to an affidavit that we are no longer members of the PDP. We have decamped. But please, my lord, don't allow INEC to fill these vacancies yet.
So you think in the eye of the law, it is right for Governor Fubara to be relating with the 3 members as though they are the full constituted members, full-blown constituted House of Assembly of the State Assembly?
Yes. Yes. That's the law.
Until an election
Until the vacancies are filled.
Or the legal tussle was vested.
Yes. That case is coming up on the 17th. And they are defending the case. So when you say Supreme Court has spoken today, Supreme Court never spoke about the legitimacy of their seats. No. In fact, the notice of discontinuance reads, the appellants hereby wish to withdraw their appeal because it has been overtaken by event. That is the language.
And as such, it has become an academic exercise.
Of course.
Because what you are fighting on, or what the resolution in which you are seeking the court to resolve, has been overtaken by
the budget at this point. Now we now have the budget of 2025.
Okay. I'm worried though, Leonel Sik, that the House of Assembly in the recent history in the Fourth Republic has become a whim and a tool in the hands of politicians to have their ways. And I made a clarification yesterday on our Lest We Forget segment of the imminent thing that is going to happen in Lagos. Mojisola Miranda may be forced to step down or be removed as the Speaker of the Lagos House of Assembly. And we've seen this happen over and over again.
I live in Lagos. There's no indication to that.
I'm telling you politically. You're a lawyer, I'm a political journalist. So I can tell you authoritatively that there are moves behind the scene to make the woman step down and be removed as the Speaker.
I think those moves are interesting. But the House of Assembly has stood its ground. Suggestions were made. Suggestions can only be made by outsiders. At the end of the day, the law deals with the members. What is the position of the members? I think Honorable Obasa, Right Honorable Obasa said he was going to court, right? But as of today, the lady is the Speaker of the House of Assembly. And before you can engage in speculation. As a lawyer, I cannot engage in speculation. I deal with facts.
Yeah, no, but Mr. Falana, it's not a speculation. These are, of course, when politicians meet at night, they've gone back and forth in Abuja, gone back to Lagos. They've been meeting for 1 week. You know that they didn't meet for several days. They went for several meetings with GSC members, all these meetings. And the fundamentals of all this, Mr. Falana, is that they wanted the woman to step down. These are not speculation. We have engaged with members of the House. Mr. Falana, that they've asked the woman to step down. They've given 3 options. They've given 3 options of the lawmakers to replace the woman. And now the issue is that you remember that members who are being taken to the DSS in Lagos.
And those lawmakers also said, we're not interested in the seat of the Speaker. We're okay with where we are. But you know what is important, Shimdi? What is important is for us to have fidelity in the law. And where there are precedents, we must learn to follow them. In the United States today, right? And our lawyers and judges must learn, and politicians, on what is going on in the United States of America. President Trump, for the past 2 weeks or thereabout, has come up with a rash of executive orders. But the judiciary has stood its ground. Not less than 5 of those executive orders have been struck down.
And more are being challenged.
Of course. And no court has said, oh, you have no local standard. We have no jurisdiction because you are a meddlesome interloper. In every democratic society, public interest litigation must be encouraged. Because not everybody feels that I should go to court to challenge the actions of the government. But there are individuals, there are organizations that feel we want to live under the rule of law. We must know the position of the law on this matter. And therefore, we are going to court to challenge the government. They must be encouraged by our judges. As was the case in the past, the Supreme Court made the point in the case of Falana and Akilu that we have departed from Abraham Adesanya.
Which another school of thought on local standard.
No, Abraham Adesanya was saying, unless you can show
me
that you suffer more
damage
than
directly
other members of the public. And Justice Shaw made the point. This is an advancement of our narrow path, if at all trodden, in the case of Abraham Adesanya. And this is the law. Again in Akilu and Falana, when there was confusion, whether Falana and Akilu was a criminal case, Supreme Court said no. It was a prerogative reach of mandamus, in which Ghana was seeking to prosecute the killers of Delegua, even though he didn't succeed today. And that is why our judges must encourage public interest litigators. Today, there is a law in Lagos, the coroner's inquest law. Anybody who dies in Lagos, violently or naturally, the state shall appoint a coroner to investigate the cause. That is the advantage of that struggle. So, and this is how the countries develop, societies develop. And you need to have read some of the short rulings of those American judges.
I mean, the military government challenged Gani Fawehinmi to say, what is your business in this matter?
Of course.
Why? Can you show that you are directly impacted or you are suffered injury?
In fact, there was a time I traveled on Lagos-Ibadan. No, Lagos-Benin Road. The road was so dangerous. I almost died. And when I returned to Lagos, I went to court to compel the government to fix the road because my right to life was threatened. And the judge said, Mr. Falana, of course you have no local standard. But Mr. Falana, do you know the full meaning of your name? Falana. So of course I knew. I said, Mr. Falana. He said, the Yoruba say, Falana, mind your own business. And I said, my Lord, I'm minding my business by minding the business of the society. In the interest of all of us.
Because you're a member of the society.
And at the end of the day, even though I lost the case, the government had to fix the road.
And you won in that case.
I lost in the court, but I won.
You won the matter, but you lost the case. But let's take a break, Mr. Falana. I'm concerned about the reasons why you want to sue Meta for $5 million for what? Issue of privacy. Mr. Falana will be telling us more. Those of you who are interested in on the issue of offenses in electoral matters. You heard what the presidency had written to the Senate to say these three people should not and cannot be INEC officials and they shall be removed in 3 different states of the Federation. But you've already heard what the rank in Adamawa says. Mrs. Bilani won the election. I have evidence to that effect. Why has he not been prosecuted? We'll talk more about this after this break, everyone. Join us. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Rights activist, senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, has been speaking with us right here on the matter. So let's go to the matter of Meta, where Mr. Falana has since gone to court to file a suit against the social media giant for issues bordering on privacy. $5 million worth of litigation. Mr. Falana, why?
Well, the medium was used to promote type of drug, and I was chosen firstly that I had problem with my health and that I will suffer one type of disease for 16 years until I stumble on this drug by this doctor. Right? And of course, circulated around the world. In fact, my attention was first drawn to it by a client in the United States of America. And of course, many other people have drawn my attention to it locally. And I felt, and I know about 3 other Nigerians, one of them a former head of state, whose voice was cloned like my own. My voice was cloned. In fact, in one of the interviews you conducted, Sheung, you know, my voice was cloned, where I was advertising this particular drug or the efficacy of, you know, the drug and the power of the doctor. So I felt we must begin to have some regulations. If the legislators will not look at the law, the courts are there to protect the privacy of citizens. I have my right to privacy, guaranteed by Section 37 of the Constitution. And that is the basis of the case.
I mean, it's interesting that some of you have the power to fight for yourselves, and some of us may not have as much. I've been a victim of so many of them, and that same platform has always been used.
No, but if you contact some of us,
yeah, I've
we can offer services to you pro bono publico, you know,
to the extent that that I was arrested because of an interview, because there is a secret way of making money. And because I said that on television, I was arrested because the government does not want the people to know the secret to the wealth. And they were asking people that if you want to know the secret, quickly go and register. I mean, this has been filed cases with the police, filed cases with the EFCC, filed cases with all the major security agencies in the country to look for these people who are using Facebook to advance this criminal, very similar style they use in using AI. And it's interesting that this is going on in our country.
I think we may use this case as a reference point.
I have more than 150 images that have been used, and I have records of them.
Well, on this matter, with respect to right to privacy, there's no statute of limitation because it's part of our fundamental right. So you may want to take it up. And I will refer you to 1 or 2 lawyers. All right. I will take it up free of charge.
All right. That would be interesting. And Mr. Falana, Meta is not a Nigerian-owned organization.
I can sue anybody anywhere in the world once I suffer here. Once I'm exposed to embarrassment here. Once my right to privacy is violated here. And of course, Facebook is all over the world, including Nigeria. So I can sue whatever it is.
Can they be made to answer to whatever that goes, whatever the breaches that you find, can they made to be answerable because they don't really operate physically here?
Because they have created a forum for people to throw in any message. So they have to be responsible. They have to be responsible. When in the West they simply pull down, you know, some libelous publications and the rest of them. But, I mean, I think the last time the government asked them, Nigeria imposed a fine of about $220 million. There was a time Facebook, Meta, whatever, was asked to pay about $5 billion in the US. Oh, yeah. Governments take it up on behalf of citizens all over the world.
I mean, what does this portend for our society, where social media has been taking away from the main purpose and people use it for all malicious and so many things are said about me, about so many. I mean, you hear some of these things and I'm wondering if I begin to dispel or to deny or to speak about things that have been said about me on social media, I won't do any other thing. That's the only thing I'll be doing all my life. I mean, the fear of how social media is being used, Mr. Falana.
In the 70s, the late fella waxed a record, Bamiletik in the Low, A big man was going to slap him in Lagos due to because of a traffic whatever. They had a problem on the road, and the man had lifted his hand. He wanted to slap Fela, but when people said Fela, so he took back there. So Fela went to the studio and waxed the record. Slap me, make I get money. So if you want to take up any of these issues, right, go to court. Even if you don't need the money, you can give it to a charity, or any of those.
It's just painful, Mr. Falana, that people use social media in the wrong way to fabricate lies and push all manner of
stake in the society where we have to look at the state of the law. I go around fighting for freedom of speech. I lead a campaign in West Africa to decriminalize freedom of speech. But at the same time, you have to be accountable if you engage in any libelous publication, right? What will help the society is to fast track the purpose, the getting legal redress, so that you are not in court for 5-10 years where you get frustrated if you are offended, right? And what people do in some other societies, we should have suggested, maybe we should have the office of the ombudsman to address some of this problem, so that with immediacy,
it can be tackled.
Yeah.
Without people suffering too much damage.
Yeah.
I never had people. There was in fact a time that, and I don't want to be using other people's example.
Yeah.
I prefer to use my own example because I've suffered it. Yeah. I've had my old mother crying for several days because of malicious information that have been pushed to her about his son. Our son. And family members embarrassed by some of the things that people say. These are issues that people out there face because of malicious postings.
But people now took advantage. Hence, I've now resorted to go into court.
Oh, yes. You fight for people for freedom of speech, but then you have suffered
irredeemable damage.
No. Although you are saying that it should not be of a criminal dimension.
No, I'm opposed to using the state,
but
instrumentality of the law.
There's a criminal defamation and there is a civil law of defamation.
Yes.
Mr. Falana.
Yes.
But you are saying that it should be decriminalized. But under our law, it still exists.
The current president of the Gambia, President Adama Barrow, arrested 2 journalists last year for defamation, criminal defamation. And I intervened, pleading with him, please drop these charges. Your lawyers have already gone to court for libel. And ultimately that was it. Last year, in 2017, the immediate past president of Ghana, President
Akufo.
No. Akufo-Addo. Somebody went to the social media, Facebook, and said he was on, my president is on wee-wee. They were smoking Indian. And there was no basis for it. Of course, the police went to court. They charged the fellow. But the president called them. No, if I'm offended, I will file a civil action. So drop the criminal charges. So that's the whole idea. And that's our position. Don't criminalize freedom of speech.
But when people get out of line, and this sometimes it could be so
what I'm saying is
damaging, Mr. Falana.
No, I know. What I'm saying is that we must fine-tune the law so that when your reputation is damaged, you can go to court and get quick resolution of the matter. But when people are frustrated and you file a civil action, the case is in court for 5-10 years, that's when people say, please, let's use a criminal, let's criminalize freedom of speech.
You heard the NSA asking Najatu Mohammed to withdraw whatever she said. And the woman said, no, I'm not going to withdraw. People, even in the position of power, and in other clients, private citizens are saying, look, this is getting out of hand.
For public officers, because you are in the public office, if you feel offended by any publication, and that was the case of Wanko and the state, where the late Josala Tawura made a point that if you feel offended by any publication, this was 1982, don't use the instrumentality of the state to harass your opponent. File a civil action for libel where you put your reputation in issue, because criticism is indispensable in a democratic society. But where people go outside the bands of, outside the law, right? File an action and perhaps ask for a speedy resolution. But clearly, things have got to a stage that we need to have another look at the law.
Now, let's look at
some marriages are being broken because of some reckless publications.
Mr. Falana, people have spent the better part, you have spent more than 40 years building Femi Falana as a brand. Yeah. Someone will come in less than 40 seconds with less than 40 megabytes of internet and could destroy that brand. Yeah. And people are like, look, this cannot go on. Yeah. So in the case of Meta that you've sued to court, what are your hopes?
I'm very, very hopeful. Because
you're going to fight a big corporation, a giant.
Oh, yes. Nobody is bigger.
One of the richest in the world.
Nobody is bigger than the law. Again, like, I think it was the late Lord Denny that made the point. In the UK, I mean, no matter how high you are, the law is higher than you. And the only idea is to get some of these organizations to be responsible and look at their own system. If you create a forum where I can just throw any garbage and then colossal damages.
Do you think the government could do anything in terms of level of regulation?
For sure.
Because it's getting out of hand.
For sure.
And it's pointing to a destruction of our society.
No, the government will have to. The legislators will have to look at the law. Again, I've said I'm opposed to criminalization, but there are civil remedies that can be made available to whoever is offended. And by the time these organizations are made to pay colossally, they will have to look at their system and also have some inbuilt mechanism for checkmating reckless publications.
There was a video that I made. I went back to my alma mater and my first degree where I studied theater arts. And just like the
I've seen that.
You've seen that video.
Yes.
And there is something, is a cultural practice with the legal practitioners, legal practice, that you have to do the final dinner before the call to bar. It's very important. Yeah. There are people that have been asked to go and receipt a call to bar because they missed the dinner, such as you have in the medical practice also. That induction program is very critical. That was the induction program for new students in the Performing and Film Art Department, where I did mine about 25 or so years ago. And I went back to honor them, and I prayed for them to be welcome into the creative community. Guess what people said? They said they didn't know that I have traditional occultic power. And some people, friends and family, said, Shungo and this. I said, why should I dispel? It does not make sense. When it was posted, the titles were there that this was a creative student Arabic.
No, that has been removed. People now say you are a member of some cult, secret cults. You know, I've seen
I'm a child of God. I'm a Christian, born into a Christian family. Well, if that stands for a denial or dispelling that,
I can understand the
so it's very painful, Mr. Falana. But let me take you to a very critical matter also, which is the case of electoral fraud and criminal offenses in our election, Mr. Falana. There are those who are asking, let us have special courts. And the justice will wait panel and recommended. And I'm wondering why these recommendations are not being dusted up and looked into. You saw those 3 regs that have been, the presidency has said, these people, remove them. The case in the professor from the University of Calabar, they have been prosecuted and
2 of them
sentenced. 2.
Michael Gideon was recommended. He was the one who insisted that in spite of all prayer, in spite of intimidation, he insisted those guys have to be brought to book.
And the case was finalized. It was a 2019 election. And look at how long it took for them to be brought to book. It is an interesting period for our elections. And I think that those are fantastic moment for us to now start rethinking. Mr. Falana, is this a very good opportunity for us to now review our electoral laws?
Well, the law has always made adequate provisions. I've always created electoral offenses. In the 2022 Electoral Act, many provisions relate to electoral offenses. But in a society where members of the ruling class have contempt for the law, that's why some of them can come out and say, we kill, we maim to win elections, and nothing happens to them. So that is the problem. Now, but if you are saying that we should have an electoral offences tribunal, I have problems with that. Because the anti-graft agencies are calling for anti-corruption courts, NAFDAC and others want special courts to deal with drug-related matters. So you can't be establishing courts for any incidents of menace in the society. Now, we set up election petition tribunal. My own idea is that the law be amended to allow those election petition tribunal to also deal with criminal matters that arise from the election. For instance, in 2023 elections, I think about close to 2,000 people were arrested for committing one electoral offense or the other. At the end of the day, I think about 700 have been prosecuted currently. I think INEC is doing that. But INEC is saying our hands are full. We need to shed some weight and allow another body to take care of electoral offenses. So if you have another body or a department, my own position is that just like INEC defends election petitions, INEC must also have a department to deal with electoral offenses. But instead of establishing a court, right, also use the election petition tribunals to deal with offenses committed during the election.
I mean, there was a time on our election programs that we have debated. So who arrests the man or the woman? Is it the INEC official or the police?
No, the police arrest, EFCC also arrest, ICPC also arrest, and many of them, for instance, this business of selling votes during election, it's almost become
a norm.
That has to be addressed. In the past, EFCC, I think, was arresting some of those who were selling and buying votes. But I think they got tired, So we must look at that.
The High Court in Yola, we understand, is sitting on the case of Mr. Hudu Yunusa Ari. He was out of the country, but I understand he's back. There are those who are saying, look, beyond what the presidency had written to the Senate about these 3 resident electoral commissioners, but if the federal government or the government of the day feels that they did not do well in discharging their duties, it should not stop there. It should be prosecuted. What do you think? Do you think that should be...
Where that problem arose? And I do hope some of the politicians who are talking of elections also be interested in this area. Go and check out those 3 recs are card-carrying members of a political party. And we made this point, we pointed it out when the Senate was going to screen them. These are partisan politicians. So what do you expect? What do you expect? So it's not enough to have them removed. Those who will replace them, in line with the provisions of the Constitution, must not be card-carrying members of political parties. That's the bottom line.
But doesn't it beg the question, Mr. Falana, on the principle of appointment of these people? It's still very much in the as a prerogative of the political.
Again, we have to go back to Waste panel. For what the Waste was recommended, Waste panel recommended is that chairman of the electoral body, national commissioners, and the recs should have their positions advertised. And the NJC will look at the applications, interview shortlisted candidates, and then recommend to the Senate through the president. But again, since the recommendations were made in 2010, no regime has been present.
But I mean, let's put this challenge to the Bola Tinubu government. Yeah. Since the Bola Tinubu government said it's a government of reforms, they're saying they want to do tax reforms. They say they are doing local government reforms. Is this something that Bola Tinubu, you know Mr. Bola Tinubu very well, is this something that you think they should take up? And how much of a legacy would it be for this government if they take it on?
Apart from the Waste panel, the Buhari regime, Jonathan regime, set up the Ahmed Lemu,
Justice Lemu,
that investigated the crisis. Mm-hmm. They also recommended electoral reforms. The Buhari regime set up the Ken Namani Committee, Electoral Reform Committee. Recommendations were also made along the line of the Waste panel. But each regime sets up a panel. So we've had enough of the panel. What is now required is to look at the recommendations that have been abandoned.
Dust them up.
Yes. For one of them, that's apart from the independent manner of appointing electoral officers, is that all election petitions be concluded before the inauguration of the incoming government. Mm-hmm. And that is possible. If we technologize our electoral system more, like the case in Kenya today, whereby the results are uploaded, everybody has access to it. As soon as the election is concluded, you have 7 days to file your election petition. In fact, by law, INEC must make available all the electoral materials. So it's not a question of you go and be filing ex parte application to investigate or examine material or they use. You file an application to have the materials given to you. You file an application to serve the respondent by substituted bill. No. In Kenya, you can serve electronically. Right? In Kenya, INEC the electoral body shall make the materials available within 24 hours. And so you file your petition within 7 days. And because it is basically electronic, the judges are asked to decide the matter within 14 days. They may give their reasons.
Mr. Falana.
So that's the way
so much.
The world is moving.
Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Attorney General of the Federation. There is a legacy to be made here. If you sit with your very good friend, the President Bola Tinubu, those 3 panel reports dusted up together for the sake of the Nigerian people, you people will make a name for yourselves.
So,
but thank you so much.
As a private person, President Tinubu, as a private person, Senator Tinubu, set up a panel headed by Lai Mohammed on electoral reform.
Yeah.
So this is the time.
Making the 4th one. Thank you so much, Mr. Falana, for your time tonight. And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm sure Akimale. God bless Nigeria.